All right, right now taking you live to Toronto Police Headquarters, where Toronto police officials are updating the public on the anniversary plans for October 7th, before and after. Let's listen to Chief Demkiw now.
My role and the role of the Toronto Police Service is to keep people safe. Since October 7th, our officers have managed more than 1,500 demonstrations across Toronto and conducted thousands of proactive visits to schools, places of worship, and community centers to ensure the safety and security of our residents. As tensions rise around the world and we approach the one-year anniversary of October 7th, we know world events always have an impact here at home. This includes the potential for increased protest activity and acts of violence. As a result, Toronto residents will notice an increased police presence across the city. This is part of our commitment to ensuring all communities are safe and feel safe. Our overarching response to Middle East-related events remains Project Resolute. This effort continues to include a 7 days a week major incident command center under the direction of a dedicated incident commander and different deployed units, including our public safety response unit, mobile community response officers, and public order sections. In the coming weeks, there will be an increased police presence of both plainclothes and uniformed officers, public order sections, mounted units, and police liaison teams. Marked police vehicles will be patrolling some communities with static red and blue lights on their rooftop bars to enhance visibility. In addition, 3 mobile command posts will be stationed in Jewish neighborhoods, one at Bathurst and Glencairn, another at Bathurst and Shepherd, and a third at Bathurst and Finch. Additionally, a 4th mobile command post will be deployed to various mosques across the city. The public is familiar with our large command vehicles. Now, you will also see 3 smaller versions that have been developed to help us be more accessible to our communities. The Toronto Police Service will be a visible and reassuring presence for as long as is necessary. We are working closely with our municipal, provincial, and federal partners, as well as our intelligence services, to monitor potential threats and respond to any situation that may arise. We have advanced our coordination with these partners and strengthened our intelligence gathering efforts and our ability to identify and mitigate potential risks. Unfortunately, hate crimes have risen in Toronto, particularly targeting the Jewish community. Year to date, 350 hate crimes have been reported to our hate crime unit, a 40% increase since this time last year. While many different communities have been targeted, the greatest increase has been against the Jewish community by 69%. We strongly encourage the reporting of any suspected hateful act to police. Our expanded hate crime unit continues to investigate every reported instance of hate, including on the ground at demonstrations, to gather evidence and investigate any suspected hate crimes or hate speech or signage. This includes the presence of flags that promote terrorist organizations as identified by Public Safety Canada. We remind everyone that charges can be laid at any time, whether it's hours, days, or even weeks after an incident, including those that take place at demonstrations. Since October 7th, Toronto Police have made 72 protest-related arrests. On Monday evening, we arrested a woman at Pearson International Airport who was wanted for offenses related to 2 separate demonstrations, one in November and one in March while she was trying to leave the country. And last night, a person who was wanted by police from a previous demonstration was seen in the crowd and also taken into custody. As we have for the past year, we will continue to ensure that demonstrations are safe while people assemble to express their views. But let me be clear. Hate has no place in Toronto. And we stand united in protecting our diverse communities. We know emotions are intense. And as demonstrations continue, we must balance the right to assembly with the need to maintain public order and public safety. This is not just for those attending demonstrations, but also for our broader community and our officers. Over recent weeks, some demonstrators have become increasingly confrontational, and we have seen assaults on officers, including the use of weapons and physical attacks. These actions are dangerous for everyone. Engaging in confrontations with law enforcement, obstructing officers in the course of their duties, or resorting to violence is not acceptable and will not be tolerated. Our officers will not hesitate to enforce the law and make arrests where warranted. Again, an arrest can happen at any time after an offense. Communities are hurting, and the trauma of the conflict is deeply personal for many. For those who have family members directly affected by the violence abroad, the feelings of helplessness and frustration are real. But we must stand together as a city, and violence and hate, whether directed at each other or at the police, is not the solution. Before we conclude, I want to address the recent gun violence in our city over the past several days and weeks. I understand the anxiety, and the data does reflect an increase in gun violence compared to last year. While we share those concerns, I want to reflect on the fact that when we compare this year's numbers to pre-pandemic years, gun violence remains on par, even as our population continues to grow. That said, I'm always hesitant to talk about statistics because we must acknowledge the pain and trauma that families feel as a result of gun violence. And this pain impacts generations. These numbers do not bring people back. We offer our deepest condolences to those who have lost loved ones, and we are committed to doing everything we can to prevent further tragedies. We are working tirelessly and have increased our presence in the neighborhoods most affected by gun violence. Proactive policing and the strategic deployment of our specialized units are central to our strategy. So far in 2024, we have made 746 firearm-related arrests and seized 671 crime guns. Our top priority is keeping our communities safe, but we cannot do it alone. We will continue working with residents, educators, community, and faith leaders, as well as local agencies and our SafeTO partners to offer people a better path forward. Thank you, and I'll open it up now to questions.
Chief, your leadership of TPS and TPS has faced a lot of criticism over how the protests have been handled over the last year. I think to the officers handing coffee and donuts over the protesters on the Avenue Bridge, the shutdown of the Prime Minister's dinner with the incoming Prime Minister. So, given the track record, why should people feel confident that things will be better as the protesters are clearly saying they're coming up for a big celebration of the one-year anniversary of the attack?
Well, I appreciate your perspective, Brian, but I will tell you that, we've repeatedly talked about the entire context of what we're dealing with. And I think it's important to reflect on the fact that our members have risen to the challenge our city has faced day in and day out to over 1,500 events. And while I appreciate your perspective, I think we need to take it in context of the entire set of circumstances we're facing. And we have very much engaged with our communities and been present in our communities on the ground where communities meet and gather, as well as demonstrations and gatherings to ensure the safety of those events. And I believe that our members have done an incredible job keeping our city safe during what has been a very challenging time for our communities.
I get the challenge, but if you could expand on the context, and you mentioned arrests and you mentioned flags. Over the past couple of weeks, we started seeing Hezbollah flags on the streets of Toronto. And what I hear from the Jewish community is, why is that allowed? Why aren't people arrested immediately? So if you could address those two things. What is the context that you're saying you are doing a good job? And could you talk about why people aren't arrested quickly with flags? Because they feel intimidated and quite frankly scared by it.
Yeah, I think I'll start an answer, Brian, and then turn it over to the superintendent responsible for our intelligence unit in our hate crime unit. I very much wanted to stress and reassure the community that we continue to investigate every reported incident. And I specifically spoke to flags for that reason, because we understand the concerns in our communities. And, I share a concern around the presence of materials that promote terrorist entities as identified by Public Safety Canada. And we gather the evidence and act as quickly as we can based on the evidence that is before us. And perhaps the superintendent can add a little more context as required.
Okay, we've been listening in as Toronto Police Chief Myron Demkiw talks, of course, about the lead up to the October 7th anniversary of the attacks in Israel, talking about the role of, keeping people safe right across the city, talking about a heightened police presence in several Jewish neighborhoods. Also, a mobile command unit will be going around to various mosques here. But you can see the planning and work that's that's going to unfold over the next several days. The chief also highlighting that in the last year there have been more than 1,500 protests or rallies that police have been called to or had to sort of try to manage over that time. So a lot leading up, of course, to this anniversary, a lot of planning as well. So we'll have more on this throughout the morning.